Hi, I'm Corwin, and today, hopefully we're going to finish up the front end on the Cadillac. So, off camera, I was able to get the passenger side A-arms in and on, the spring in, the drum, everything is connected. I probably should have filmed it though, because I ended up having to cut the spring compressor off completely in order to get it out. Whatever crunched this side just loosened everything up, and then on this side where it's right, it's just, the geometry is just different. So I'm just gonna have to really take a look at those components and see what I can do, what parts I can get to try to get it fixed. So that's next up on the list, but in the meantime, what I need to do, I did get bushings for a couple more things that I need to put in, plus the sway bar and its end links, that's on the list. And then all of the steering components need to go back in, which means I need to try to match up all the tie rod links and get them as close as I can. But I'm not gonna put those in until I put in this. So this is a custom. Now you know why I'm so excited to get the rest of this stuff done, because this thing is awesome, and I can't wait to see it on the car. Okay, so apologies for how hard it is to see under here, but I've got new sway bar bushings here. They'll bolt up right there to those two bolts. And then I'll get the sway bar connected to the lower A-arm with the new end links. Of course, do it on the other side too. And make sure those are torqued to spec. I need to put the cotter pins back in on this side. I did it on the other side already. And then this should be good to go. I can start to... I haven't touched the old tie rod end links yet. You can see like these are set, and I want to try to get it as close to this as possible on the new ones. So I'll probably take some time, try to get those as close as I can, just to make aligning it a little bit easier. The only thing I didn't do, and I didn't think I was going to need to, this bar right here attaches to the lower A-arm and runs up into the frame with two big rubber bushings and a nut on either side. And that's actually how you can adjust the alignment. It pulls the lower A-arm either forwards or backwards to the frame. What I'll need to do, if I feel like I should replace those bushings since I've already come this far, so what I'll need to do is mark those threads, just kind of like I did over here with the pivot, so that I can try to put it back as easily and as close as I can, and then swap out the rubber on both sides and then go from there. These are the new rubber pieces. You can see they're pretty stout. There's nothing really crazy about them, but like I said, it's just another way to screw up the alignment. So I want to try to take my time with this and do the best I can. What do you think, Bailey? Yeah? Okay, cool. Okay, so right there you can see that's the arm that goes down to the lower arm and adjusts the alignment. There's a nut here, and then there's a nut on the other side of the frame, and then those are the rubber bushings. So I think the holes there are pretty far off, so I think the best thing to do is to mark these threads on both sides as best as I can. Although they're pretty rusted, so I imagine it'll be easy to see how they go back. But pop it off, swap out the bushings, and then bolt it in, and then adjust the threads up here so that it pushes the arm like it should. And of course, I'll end up having to do that on both sides. I'll just do that real quick, I hope. I spent about 10 minutes before this looking for a 1 1/8 inch socket, which I just could not find, so I had to resort to the old trusty crescent wrench. And I know I've said this before, but everything under this car is just so rusty and worn out that not using the right tool really makes it a lot harder on yourself. I wish you guys could feel how hot this nut is after I took it off. It was burning, and I greased it up pretty good, but you can see, so this nut goes here, holds this bushing on this side of the frame. What I did, so I went ahead, I counted the threads, I tried to mark them. You can see an arrow there, but I also counted the threads, marked it here and on the end. So 13 on this side 11 on this side. I think this may have had something to do with it. This was the one that went on this side of the frame. It's capped off by this dude. There's not much left of this guy, so replacing this is probably a good idea. So I just want to show the new ones real quick. This is the outer bushing here. Sits like this. This one sits on the inside like this. But it turns out that what I thought was a spacer is actually supposed to go inside of this rubber piece. So yeah, I'm curious to know, maybe this was what was causing my wandering. You know, if this stuff wasn't stable and it was constantly changing the alignment of that wheel on one or both sides, then yeah, I mean, that's an issue, right? So glad I'm getting this fixed. So I thought this would be a pretty cool shot, and it actually turned out okay. You can see as I kind of tighten everything up here and start working on the frame end of this rod, the lower arm pushes out just like it should, which is kind of incredible, really, as rudimentary as it is. But I just couldn't figure out why the bushing wasn't slotting in the hole appropriately. So I kind of was loosening everything up, straightening it out, tightening it up, kind of fighting with it, going back and forth, trying to get it all to line up. And it turns out that I wasn't fighting the car, I was fighting myself. So, you know, here we go again. So all that work that you just saw me do, the bushings, they go the other way. The long skinny one goes on the inside and the flat one goes on the outside. So despite my best efforts, here I go again doing everything twice. But at least I could do it right the first time on the other side, but I decided this was enough recording for one night. Okay, good morning. So admittedly, it is not the same day as all the footage you just saw. You can imagine why, but I was having issues getting the sway bar end links to go into their holes, and you know, just due to the arc of the arms, it just wasn't lining up. So first things first, I'm gonna put this on the ground, which looks weird with the wheels on. I'm gonna put it on the ground so that I can get the sway bar end links bolted up, and then I'll match up the steering, and I think we'll be good to go. It's incredible how quickly you forget just how good this car looks when sitting on the ground with the wheels on it. It really is a beautiful car. Okay, so driver's side, no sweat. It's in the hole enough. I can tighten up the bottom nut, but the passenger side, this dude is way off. It's hard to see from this angle, but there's definitely, it needs to go forward like an inch. So I'm gonna loosen up these guys here and see if I can't get this down in the hole and then tighten it back up. I might have to do it on the other side too, but it's close. I think I can get it. Okay, so I went to check the book because things are just not lining up. This is the only page I could find, and clearly this doesn't give much information, except it does show that this bracket should be straight across. Now, when I took this stuff off, my grandfather had installed these, which, man, these are nasty looking dudes. But they just extended this part, you know, the same gap that I'm needing now. So I went underneath the car and did some looking. Okay, this may be really hard to see, but he had it, there's actually two sets of holes, and he had it on the back ones, which you can see there's a curve in that bar, but look at the witness marks up there on that front hole. I guarantee you that's where it's supposed to go, and that makes up the difference on this end. You can see how crooked it's sitting even now. So I'm gonna go completely unbolt the other side, move it forward, move this one forward, and then everything hopefully should line up. So I was right, but it's not that easy. It never is. It's really starting to piss me off. Okay, so this guy, it does want to sit in those forward holes, you can see, but it can't because of the water pump pulley on this new motor. This bar, you can see, it's already jammed up right against it. This thing can't go any far forward, which is why I'm guessing Bobby drilled these new holes and used the extensions. Shit like this is just degrading. It just takes all of the energy right out of you and just sucks all the fun you thought you were gonna have today right out. This is the first little bit of fabrication that I've done on video, and although I've done a lot of it already on the car, I had some leftover 1/4 inch plate that I just marked up about 1.5 inches center to center on the holes, cut them out, although I ran out of grinding wheels pretty quickly. And then took them over to the grinder, kind of cleaned it up a little bit, and then just kind of worked my way up on the drill press here to get those holes as centered and as clean as they could be, and then used a big ass 5/8 inch bit to put a chamfer on it, which you'll see here in a little bit. And they actually turned out good, except eventually I pulled my head out of my ass and moved the clamp to the front of the press. Okay, so you saw me make these. Went ahead and put a chamfer on either end of the hole. I think it'll help. You can see this rubber piece fits in here perfectly. So for the actual end link, that should work great. And then to attach the sway bar to this piece, I grabbed these washers and they slot in there perfect. So that should help locate it inside the hole. It sticks up a little bit so that it will locate on the sway bar too. And then I got the rest of this hardware. Not sure if I need 1 1/4 or 1 1/2, so I got both, and plenty of washers to get under there and try to make it work. So not how I thought today was gonna go, but you know, get these in there. Okay, overall pretty happy with how this turned out. You can see this piece super tight. I got a lock washer in here, and then that other washer sitting right there in the hole, like I said, and then it looks really flush on top, so I really like that. Everything's in here and bolted up and snug, which is great. I can actually give one small piece of advice on that. You'll notice this bolt is upside down. That's because I needed a little extra clearance, so I stuck a jack underneath right here on the head of the bolt and compressed that first rubber piece, and that gives you enough threads to get the nut on and tightened up. And then up here everything's tight, and you can see I went ahead and greased it a little bit there too. Okay, so not ideal, but it's done, and that makes me incredibly happy. So next time we get to do the fun stuff, so we'll see you then.